Hello and welcome to 1 John 4, 16b to 17. I didn't realize yesterday that I was only doing part of 1 John 4:16, and that's because in the Greek Bible that I drew from, this second part right here, the second part of verse 16, begins a new paragraph at least in the minds of the person who edited the Greek text. Now, of course, there was no paragraph divisions in the original Greek, so this is all a matter of interpretation. But I thought I'm so far behind from missing out a couple weeks that I would go ahead and do the rest of 16 and 17 today. So a little bit longer today. Also, yesterday's video was only 3 minutes long, which seems like it's just not enough Greek, right? I mean, you probably felt hungry for more Greek by the end of the day. So let's go ahead and begin. Can you translate it? It's a lot. Here is my translation. God is love, and the one who remains in love remains in God, and God remains in him. This is a very Johannine thing to say, isn't it? This kind of perichoresis, not only the Trinity, but here the perichoresis of God and the person who loves, who is in God and God is in them. It's all very poetic. And I have a bit of a scientific orientation. And so I've always found the Gospel of John very poetic. I mean, I like poetry, don't get me wrong about that, but I don't find John to be a very literal kind of speaker. He speaks very metaphorically and poetically. Um, and I feel like I need to kind of translate John into pragmatic speech, kind of everyday. I feel like I need to decode John into everyday language. So God is love. I mean, he doesn't have love particles. He's typified by love. Love typifies him. That would be the literal, decoding of John's metaphor. The one who remains in love remains in God. Again, if I decode that those who love each other demonstrate that they are within, you know, God's domain, so to speak. And God remains in them. That is, God is active in them. God is empowering them. God is filling them. John doesn't speak my way of thinking or talking. Verse 17. In this, love has been perfected with us. That is, if we are loving each other, again, this is not a new thing for John to say, if we are loving each other concretely, then love has been perfected in us. That there was a point in the past where love became complete, and it has remained complete in us. The word perfect, not probably a real helpful way to translate it today, because when we think of perfect, we think of something that has no lacking whatsoever. But of course, being complete has often more of a sense of ripeness. That it is whole. It is what it's meant to be. It's not a matter of quantity so much as a matter of quality, I would say. So love has been made complete with us, with the result that, we might have boldness on the day of judgment. Now, what kind of boldness might we have on the day of judgment? I think the boldness we have on the day of judgment is to say, we are right with you. I'm right with you. I am a child of God. I am in you. I am whole. I am not to be condemned. I am right with you. That's a bold thing to say, right? Isn't it? For a human to say before God. And yet, it is a boldness that we can have, according to John, if God's seed remains in us. Because just as that one is, also we are in this world. Again, it's a bold thought. Not many Christians today are willing to be bold like this. Paul was. Paul says, "Follow my example." Um, Peter says, "Be holy as I am holy." Um, Matthew, Jesus in Matthew says, "Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect." This isn't a legal fiction. This is a real expectation that the early Christians had that runs throughout the New Testament. The expectation that Christians will love as Jesus loved, that Christians will love as God the Father loves. Now, of course, we don't have the capacity of God, but we can love completely as a human. On the human level, we can love completely for a human being. That is the promise and the hope of 1 John. Well, okay, so let's break it on down. God, love is, and the one who remains in love remains in God. This is a construction we've seen over and over again in 1 John. I hope you know it by now. This is a participle, as we know on the next slide, remaining, the remaining one. It's substantive because the noun isn't there. We have to come up with the word one here. The remaining one, or the one who remains. Ken's law, if the participle has the article, use who or that. Okay, and God remains in him. Fairly simple, not in the preferred English order, but we've gotten used to that, surely. In this has been perfected, love. This is the subject because it's the nominative. In this, love has been perfected. We'll parse this on the next slide. With us. Now, I don't mention on the next slide, but what this is meta, the preposition meta, which when it's used with something in the genitive means with. If it was with something in the accusative, it would mean after. It's almost like two different words, depending on the case of the word that goes with it. So meta, well, why is it meth instead of meta? Well, it's not because the Greek, not because John likes drugs. First of all, the alpha disappears because the next word begins with a vowel. So that would be met. Then breathy, it aspirates, it becomes breathy because the next word begins with a rough breathing mark. Hey, moan. So it becomes meth. And then there's the apostrophe saying, we've omitted some letters here. So that's why it's like that. With the result that, I'm taking this as a result clause rather than a purpose clause, that what is the result of his love being perfected in it? Well, the result is that we have boldness on the day of judgment. And the day of judgment, John does believe in a day of judgment. That's good to know, because John talks a lot about eternal life and eternal condemnation. And so I suppose if you didn't read the Johannine literature thoroughly, you might say, well, John just believes you die and go to heaven or hell. But John says there will be a day of judgment. And so he seems to be on the same page as the other biblical authors on this particular matter. We'll parse these here. Remember, with Hina, subjunctive is coming, subjunctive is coming. And then here's the final line. Because, causal clause, just as that one is, so this is a comparison, comparative clause, also we are in this world. Don't have to wait till the next life to be perfected in love. It can happen here. Of course, John Wesley talked about being perfected in love and having perfect love. My opinion, he didn't fully work it out in his theology well. To be honest, the Methodist and Wesleyan tradition, I think, have struggled a little bit to come up with a sense of what it means to be perfected in love. But it's biblical, right? It's here. It's here in 1 John chapter 4. Okay, look at the grammar in a little bit more detail. I've already talked about this participle. It's meno, it's present. All the letters of the present are there. It's a participle, active participle. On is the first kind of participle ending you learn when you're learning Greek. It's nominative, masculine, singular. So it has the article on it, so it's adjectival, and it's no noun there, so it's substantive. So there's all the right up there. So it's a present active participle, nominative, masculine, singular from meno. It's adjectival because of the article, and substantive because the noun it's telling you about, one or man, isn't there. We have to come up with it ourselves. Okay, now we have this fun parsing right here. So tai, luo mai, lue luet tai. It's a third person singular, tentatively middle or passive ending. Okay. Now the word is teleao, and so that omega is actually the stem tele o, and so the omicron, or tele oo, depending on how you want to pronounce it. If you take that omicron and you slap an ending right on it, it's going to lengthen. That's why it went to an omega. But it is actually part of the the stem. And so the ending has been shoved right on the stem. That happens in one place. Well, okay, two places, but who's counting? And that is the perfect middle or passive. The other one is the pluperfect middle or passive. But anyway, so I didn't even have to look at the front here to know that this was perfect. It is. There's the reduplication. The first letter gets a little beside itself, and we have an epsilon there. So it's perfect, passive indicative, third singular from teleoo. Okay? Subjunctive is coming. Subjunctive is coming. This is going to be subjunctive. It's echo. It's a present stem. Men is first person plural, and it's active. So we have a present active subjunctive. First plural from echo. But anyway, this is either a purpose clause, a result clause, or there's at least one or two places in 1 John where I'm pretty sure it's degenerated into a noun clause. That's just my opinion. I'm not stupid, by the way. Anyway, but I'm going to go with result clause here. In this, the love has been perfected with us, with the result that we might have boldness on the day of judgment. Because, causal clause, so let's get them all up there. Result clause, present active subjunctive, first plural from echo, and then causal clause. Just as that one is, so also we are in this world. Okay, leaves us with the pronunciation. Go ahead and see if you can pronounce up to the end of the verse 16. Here's my pronunciation. Ho theos agape estin, kai ho menon, en te agape, en to theo, mene kai ho theos, en auto mene. Okay, so let me try to pronounce it I'll wait to the end to do normal speed. Verse 17, en tuto teteleotai he agape methemon, hina parasian, ekomen, en te hemera, tes Christos. That's genitive, by the way. The article never lies. It's genitive, feminine, singular. This is a weird crisis. It's a cis noun. Those are feminine. In the third declension, they go cis, seos. They're very, well, I like them now, but they're very annoying when you're a beginning Greek student. Hoti kathos akenosistin. This is a enclitic. It doesn't have an accent in of itself. Sometimes it's forced to take an accent, like, or was it up here? It was forced to take an accent. Right here, it's forced to take an accent. But here, it forces the akenos to take the accent. So this is like one word. Akenosistin. Kai hemes esmen. Here it got away with not having an accent. Ento cosmo tuto. Now let me try to say it at normal speed. Ho theos agape estin. Kai ho menon en te agape en to theo mene. Kai ho theos en auto mene. En tuto teteleotai he agape methemon. Hina parasian. Ekomen en te hemera tes Christos. Hoti kathos ekenosistin kai hemes esmen en to cosmo tuto. Didn't do that great, but I'm going to leave it at that. I'm getting better by doing this, by the way, at my normal pronunciation. I didn't learn Greek to speak. I learned it to read. So you're helping me here. Hope you have a great day. This is Ken Schenk signing off from Houghton, New York.